hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the All Elite Ensemble review, your weekly AEW review show here at BC WrestlePod. And once again, the dynamic duo is back this evening. Of course, my name is Mikey, and I am one of your hosts for All Elite Ensemble. And joining me this evening is my lovable, I'm his A boo boo apparently, Mr. Jones. We'll talk afterwards because I've been meaning to text you. I was just like, I need to know the origins of the name change, but we'll talk afterwards.
Greetings and salutations, Mikey and people of the internet. Let's rock and roll.
Heck yes. So we are going to dive into Dynamite and Collision this evening, and as we prepare for what is hopefully going to be one of the craziest nights this year for AEW, with Blood and Guts literally being tomorrow, which we will talk about when we get to that, because I want to preview, because we got 3 matches so far, and it's going to be nuts. But before we get into all of that, really quickly, to get through the announcement sections, if you like what you see here, or if you are new to BC WrestlePod, and you would like to see more of our shenanigans, then you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitch or Kick, or whatever your preferred video watching platform is. And you can see all of the things where we do the weekly shows, the pay-per-views, and sometimes special essays whenever we come up with ideas. If you would still like to interact with us, but on a smaller scale that doesn't require watching loads of video content, we got you. We are at pretty much every social media site at BC WrestlePod, where you can and you should follow us, because we have report cards, prediction forms, all kinds of fun stuff on the, social medias. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, we have merchandise. If you want to check out our merch, you can go to bcwrestlepodshop.com, where we have loads of different shirts and hoodies and tanks and hats and stickers and all sorts of things for your pleasure. So, with that out of the way, let's jump straight into it. So, again, we are going to be talking about Dynamite and Collision, which felt very self-contained for both episodes. I feel like they're just like, we're just gonna focus on leading into Blood and Guts, because that was the name of the game this whole entire past week leading into tomorrow. It's like, we have a bunch of advantage matches, so we're going to spread those out, as well as, telling stories, as we also got a pay-per-view coming up very shortly. So I'm excited. There's a lot going on. So let's just jump straight into it, because we're going to start with AEW Dynamite like we always do. And we kick off with a quick little promo off between, first, there's a couple things that happened here, because they crammed a lot in this beginning section. Okay. I was just like, I'm cool with that. And of course, we know a little bit more of the parameters of it. AEW is bringing a new title, the AEW National Championship. And the goal of this is what the International Championship was when it originally was created. This thing will be defended anywhere and everywhere that the wrestler goes, which is basically like a championship for other independent promotions and other promotions as well around the world and in the States, which I kind of dig. But of course, Tony Schiavone doesn't get to get more into the details for long enough, because Samoa Joe comes out, we cut a promo, Heyman comes out, cut a promo, Hook comes out, cuts a promo, and our main event, of course, is Hangman and then the New York Boys taking on the Ops. But now it is for the Trios Championships. And in my mind, I'm just like, I see where this is going. There's no way the Ops are losing, but should be fun.
Yeah,
this is a lot. This is a lot to open the show.
It was a lot. Like, I do enjoy menacing Samoa Joe, and you can't really get any better than putting Tony Schiavone in a corner. And I love silly Eddie walking out with a crutch, just swinging at Terry Funk.
I was just like, what is happening? There was a lot that went on.
There was just one point where, like, I sort of like figured it out with Hook. Like, why I don't think he's connecting with me right now is because, like, his father was a badass from Red Hook, and sometimes Hook comes off as a prep school kid.
Oh no! I mean, you're not wrong, but oh man, we'll get into full details when we get there, because I was just like, this was a lot to open the show. We will discuss more about all of this when we get into the main event with everyone involved. But right now, we get into what I call the meat and potatoes of the entire night, because, like I said, there was a lot of over Dynamite and Collision. We had a lot of Blood and Guts advantage matches. And we get into the first one. This was battle number one for the men's blood and guts advantage, where we saw Orange Cassidy taking on Claudio Castagnoli. And all I have to say is Claudio's just out here trying to brutalize, murderize, and throw people into inanimate objects as much as he can. I still can't get over. I was like, oh my gosh, I think Claudio killed Darby.
Twice this year.
It's just like, this is a lot, Claudio. I was just like, I smell a hater. Oh my goodness. This was fun. It served its purpose. I had a good time with this. Anytime I get to see Orange and Claudio square up, I'm never going to complain, honestly.
Me neither. Like, there was a few spots in here that I like to point out. Like, Claudio has a spot where like he grabs somebody and then like suplexes them and then walks up the stairs with them. I always love
Mhm.
that because he's a horse. He's a freaking horse.
For real. I was just like, what are we doing?
And like Orange Cassidy coming out of the gate and like doing the tope suicida, like, okay, stuff just got real because Orange Cassidy ain't messing around today because he knows who he's got, you know? And the last thing I was gonna say, like, there was a spot where like they've been teasing Claudio goes to do the suplex, and then like Orange counters it into the Stun Dog Millionaire, and this time he almost gets the Stun Dog Millionaire, and like Claudio just stops him and goes, "Nope," and then breaks the fingers. Like, oh man, I love it. More of this, please.
For real. I want more of this. So this was this was a fun back and forth. Claudio does pick up the victory here. So after match one, it is Death Riders 1, Conglomeration, and Darby 0. We got 2 more matches. So obviously, the third match is it only if necessary, which I was like, we're getting the third matches between the women's and the men's. Don't even pretend to put that if necessary. Like, we know. It's like, we all know. But again, a fantastic bout from both of these men. And we would continue into Dynamite with another backstage segment. Don Callis family got all their stuff in like back to back. First, we have Mark Briscoe wanting one more shot at Kyle Fletcher's TNT Championship match. We've been following this for the last week or two. And you know what? Don Callis is like, you know what? Me and Kyle, we will grant you this championship match. But there's 2 conditions. Number 1, if you lose, you can never challenge Kyle Fletcher again for the championship so long as he holds it. And number 2, if Mark Briscoe loses, he has to, join the ever expanding Don Callis family, collecting like Infinity Stones times 5 at this point. And so I'm just like, now I don't know if Mark Briscoe is going to lose. I kind of think it would be funny if he did, where he would destroy the Don Callis family from the inside. I was just like, dang, I didn't think we were going to get rematched so soon, but I'm in. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like as I said, like before I think during the predictions for Wrestle Dream, like these guys could fight forever, and I'm happy. But I love the stipulation, and whether we end up getting heel Mark or reluctant member of the Don Callis family Mark,
Right.
I'm here for it, or champion Mark. I'm happy with that too.
I am here for either or. It is going to be a fantastic time. But we weren't done with the Don Callis family quite yet because look at this picture. Man. Look how many people there are, Betty. This is crazy. I'm like, what the hell happened, man? There's so many. But basically, the Don Callis Don is offering the Bucks a spot and will, rep the Bucks. And I was just like, we don't need more people in the Don Callis family. But at the same time, the Bucks being here kind of would be great. I'm not going to lie. There's so
Yeah.
many of them.
I like the Okada spot where like he's like, don't take too much time.
Reals. Like, don't take too much time, y'all. Like, I was like, oh my goodness.
Which was like a follow-up to like the, I believe anyways, to the BTE segment, like last week, where like they were like leaving the locker room and like they ran into Okada. And he's like, you need some money?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's still crazy we're getting another money match at Full Gear and it's for $1 million. And I'm just like, can I have some Tony Khan, please? I'm like, in this economy?
I will say
Sorry.
it's a little tone deaf right now, but
I was just like, I kind of want the Bucks to win, but having them continue to lose the money matches is somehow giving me like very much serotonin, and I'm here for it.
oh yeah, there's one thing that the Bucks are great at. It's like the self-depreciating comedy. Like, and as long as we keep that train rolling.
Right. So again, we get this match made. It is Jurassic Express and Kenneth Omega taking on the Bucks and Josh Alexander in a $1 million money match. So that should still be very entertaining. And shout out to Josh Alexander for getting another pay-per-view spot. I'd love to see it for real. So we move on from all the Don Callis family shenanigans for now, because there's also more. And we get into our next match, which is a AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament quarterfinal match, where of course, we get Athena and Mercedes Moné taking on the Babes of Wrath in Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. And I have to say, Benny, I'm kind of as much as I love Willow and Harley, like I'm being so for real. I love them to death. They are fantastic. You can never make me hate them. I'm very surprised by the outcome. I'm not gonna lie, especially because watching Athena get pinned and then also being like one of 5 people that watches ROH, I was just like, Harley is about to have this match with Athena, and the winner is gonna go on to Final Battle to defend this title. And I'm just like, huh. I'm not gonna lie, I was very surprised. I was just like, to me, this was lose-lose. It was like I was gonna get mad either way. But I was just like, why do you have Mercedes and Athena together if they're gonna lose this first round? Like, what happened?
I don't know what the reasoning was.
You're supposed to tell me the answer, Benny. No, I was kidding. It's fun. The match was fun. I was just very surprised with it. And I was even more surprised. It was like, look, I know it's a lose-lose. Either Mercedes or Athena is about to get pinned. I was not expecting Athena to take the pin, but I should have, because we're trying to protect Mercedes. I want to be so for real. And I said this during I know we don't bring up other promotions, but this is what I said during the WWE review on Sunday. It is okay in non-title matches to have your champions get pinned. If
Yeah,
Mercedes got pinned, it's fine, because it's not Chris who she's facing at Full Gear. It's Willow and Harley. I was like, Mercedes could have been pinned, because Athena always gets pinned in these situations. I was just like, I want more for Athena. I love my forever champ. But
yeah.
I was just like, why you put these 2 women together if they're not going to make it past the first round? It makes me sad. And again, I love Willow and Harley, and I'm happy that they're going on to the next round. But at the same time, I was just like, we couldn't have switched places. You couldn't have at least give Mercedes and Athena like at least one round to win. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, this match was fun. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Like, I'm also in that same boat. It was a non-title tournament match. Like, there's no reason why Mercedes couldn't have been pinned. And so you're gonna go into this match with Harley Cameron and Athena, with Athena already taking a loss. The By the way, who hasn't lost in ROH in 3 years? That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. Like, but
This is fantastic. I'll get over Athena and Mercedes losing. No, but honestly, Harley, you had a really good week, and I'm really proud of you. And we'll talk about it more when we get to Collision. But the Babes of Wrath move on. They will be facing the Sisters of Sin in the semifinal match after Blood and Guts. So I'm excited to see where that goes. At least this women's tournament is not taking like 18 months to complete, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. And yes, that is shade to Ring of Honor. I was like, we're finally getting the train rolling on this tournament after we announced it like 3 months ago. And I love
yeah,
Deanna, but I kind of wanted to see Trish go further, but that's for a whole nother discussion.
we finally got Trish and Deanna, as you said, this week, right, or last week.
And I was like, it was a good match, but I wanted Trish I love Deanna, but Trish, I was like, I wanted to see her go further, but you know what? We will save that when we get to Final Battle in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, right.
Because, yeah, we have Full Gear next week, and then 2 weeks later is Final Battle. Oh, Lord, we're wrapping up things crazy. But we're going to move on in our Dynamite review, because we have a casino. Like I said, we're getting a casino gauntlet match for this new AEW National Championship. We have Bobbles and, Shelton announcing themselves for it. And then, of course, Goa is also making their claim for it. Lots of people, similar to what we get for like the Royal Rumble and things like that, be like, I declare myself for this match. And it seems that the Hurt Syndicate and Goa and the Demand have some unfinished business still. And I was like, I thought we finished business, but you know what? I'm okay for one more, I guess. Let's make it out. Let's make it something crazy at World's End.
Yeah, and they also announced that the national title will be defended at Final Battle as
Which is
well.
crazy. It was just like, congratulations, you win. You got to defend this thing in 2 weeks. Good luck, champ.
Yeah. Well, like I was I was thinking this sort of funny. Like they should probably give it to Mortos, so that way Mortos and Mercedes can travel the world together. because they already are. The only thing I gotta say about this is that, like, I've heard a lot of chatter this week, like, about how this was how the original All Atlantic or the international title was supposed to be. But what one thing, a piece of information people keep forgetting is that the world wasn't open yet
Right.
when that title was announced. So it really limited the traveling belt. So now that the world is opened back up, this title makes a lot more sense.
Very, very true. So, again, it seems that we are still picking up in this feud between the Demand and the Hurt Syndicate, Hurt Business, all the hurting. We hurt people. So still excited. I can't wait. This should be fun. Can't wait for next week. I want 25 minutes, just singles. Like, give me more of this. Like, I listen, I know there's still a lot of talk when we had that Four Pillars match at Double or Nothing, like what, 2 or 3 years ago, between the Four Pillars of AEW at that time. And I'm just like, I feel like we kind of pulled the trigger too soon to kind of call it that. I really enjoyed this match. And I honestly think that also with a couple other people in the men's division, these are the two I was like, these two got next. Like, these two got next in the next couple of years. These are my 2 that I'll put my money in, to be world champion next in some capacity,
Mm.
especially Darby. I was like, I feel like, again, this company, AEW's only been around for 6 years, but I was just like, I feel like it's Darby's time to be a champion in the near future. I want to see Darby become champion. I really love this match, but that's because I'm biased and I love Darby and Daniel Garcia. I was just like, there's just so much fun, and Danny is always so good to watch. I'm just saying.
Yeah, this one was really fun in the fact that, like, they both now have sort of the same finisher, and,
Mhm.
like, they were just trading sharpshooters and dragon tamers back and forth. Sorry, scorpion deathblock, whatever.
I was like,
It's the same thing. But, like, these 2 are, like, just absolutely fantastic. Regardless of size, these 2 work big. So, kudos to them.
100%. And this was as chaotic as I thought it was going to be. Darby does end up beating Danny. So now it is Conglomeration and Darby 1, Death Riders 1. Death Riders come out and start beating up Darby. Everybody comes out. There's a brawl. We are getting, because the score is tied, we would be getting our final match on Collision, which we will talk about when we get there, between Roddy and John Moxley. And I'm just sitting here and I broke the fourth wall while watching it. And I looked at AEW. I was like, you knew this was going to happen. I was like, don't even play that. It wasn't. I was like,
Yeah.
I was just like, but still, good job all around. This was a fun one. And yeah, we would get our final on Collision, which we're going to talk about when we get there. But right now, hang on. So we get FTR, right? And even though it is the same formula, I appreciate that FTR is not afraid to get into. Obviously, there was probably conversations that were had beforehand, because I was like, now Dax and Cash, if that were my mom and we didn't talk and you got in they face, oh, when you come backstage, it's onside. We're gonna fight.
Yeah,
I
right.
was like, nobody touches my mother. Ah! But you know what? I appreciate that they're being heels, but they're not going too far, which I appreciate. I am going to say, though, Stokely, once again, giving me all the memes this year. If I have to pick my favorite person who gives us the memes on wrestling, it's going to be Stokely because of this one. Also, he's short, he's bald, and he gets no hose. This was so horror movie camp. I was so here for it. I just needed Brody King to go through the whole, be like, here's Johnny. Oh, this was amazing. I love this. This whole segment was a lot of fun. I was like, we're getting Gravity involved. And I was like, I haven't seen Gravity in forever. And I love him too.
Yeah, this is, all great. I got a question for you.
What's up?
You're a Spanish speaker,
You
right?
don't say. No, I'm just kidding. How dare you assume? But yes.
Not an assumption. Anyways, what did Dax attempt to say to that lady?
I was just like, I'm gonna be so for real. Of course, the unseasoning that is Dax and his Spanish speaking. I believe he was trying to say something like about Brodito and basically the equivalent of like, yo, you like your mom kind of thing, like being disrespectful. I think this was effective from, and not to get all theatery on people, but even with the broken like English, with the Spanish speaking that Dax was doing and the lack of actual like conjugating the verbs and putting them in the right order, I think that was the whole point of it, because FTR are supposed to be heels right now. And, especially in this day and age, what better way to get, heat on you than to try to speak a foreign language that is a hot button issue for a certain group of people right now, and then just be completely disrespectful to it, and I was just like, "Oh, this is bad Spanish," but it's supposed to be that way because FTR is trying to get this heat on them. But
Yeah.
again, but again, I appreciate it because there are some things that I have seen in 2025 that have kind of looked similar when we're looking at, Latino wrestlers when trying to get that heat. And then I have seen much worse happen this year. So it's like kudos to Dax and Cash for not going too far with it. But yeah, horror movie Bandito punching through the wall, and then Gravity and Brody King and Bandito coming out to chase off Stokely and FTR. And I'm just like, I love that. FTR got a lot of enemies because
Yeah.
they got Brodito, and then when we get to Collision, I was like, "Don't you forget, Sonic and Tails out here also coming for you too, FTR." We gonna talk about them boys during Collision. I was just like, "Oh no."
Yeah, you think they got that door from Evil Uno's door guy?
For reals. I was just like, "Yo, Uno, you got the door for us? I got you, fam." Oh my goodness. I am excited. I when we get next week when we do predictions, I'm like, I don't know who's gonna win, but that's next week. That's next week, Mikey's problem, not this week. We're reviewing what happened and we're getting ready for Blood and Guts tomorrow. So future Mikey is gonna have to deal with that conundrum when we get there. But effective promo, this was fun. I love watching these two feuds. This is fun. It doesn't take a lot of effort for me to enjoy FTR and Brodito feuding. And also, Stokely, keep giving me memes because you're great.
You know what the funny thing
Yes.
is? Not to say that somebody's watching, but hey, Tony, or whoever, but last week I was like, "Can we get feud?"
And
And I
bam, here we go.
bam.
I was like, my little Joshi heart was so happy. I was like, Stardom, I get to see. Also, shout out
Yeah,
to
there was
Tony and
a moment
Mercedes for making the
there was a
top.
moment
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say shout out to Tony and Mercedes for being number 1 and 2 on the PW 200 women's wrestling list this year.
Indeed, and the internet exploded. But, like, yeah, I also agree that, like, it does feel like it's getting towards the end of the road with this character, and even she knows it because she seems to be, like, clocking into work at this point. Like, I like sassy Tony. This was really funny. This match was obviously great because you get 2 great workers in it, and I like the, addition of Marina Shafir getting involved, beating up Tony on the Tony was on commentary, and Tony looked like she was laying in some stiff shots on Marina. She did not look happy, and I gotta say something. Tony Schiavone, I love you, I respect you, but not every power bomb is a Liger bomb.
Thank you, because I was just sitting here and I was like, "Listen, I'm not an expert. I just watch wrestling for fun, and we have a streaming podcast where we break down all these things." But I have watched wrestling for, I say, like, good enough to be like, I don't think that's what it's called. I'm not trying to be a snob. I'm not on the commentary, but I was like, "Not everything has to be the same, you guys. Like, what are we doing?"
I know, right? Like, Megan does do a running Liger bomb, and that's fine. But but there was a couple times on Collision where you were just like, "Liger bomb," and I was like, "That's not a Liger bomb, it's a sit-up power bomb." Like, what are we doing?
I'm just like, "What is happening? I don't understand."
Like, I
But
love Tony Schiavone so much that I'm just like, "Ah, let it go." But here we are. I'm already
it's
talking
like,
about it.
fine, we'll let it go just this once. I'm just like, I guess. But it's still a very fun match. Megan
Mhm.
does pick up the victory for her team. So it would be the heels 1, the baby faces 0, and we would have to wait until Collision to get the other 2 matches. Spoiler alert. I was just like, all right, whatever. That's fine, I guess. I was like, we could have done one more women's match, but I'm not the one in charge, Tony, Antonio. I'm just saying. But fun match overall. Good job, girls. And then
Mhm.
watching Tony get choked out afterwards was hilarious too, because the faces she made was priceless. And as someone,
Yeah.
I was just like, I love everybody who's fantastic. But we got to keep going though. Main event time. And I was just like, hold up. And I looked at the clock. I was like, oh my God, we actually made it to the main event. Holy hell. Dynamite was very self contained this week. I was just like, they just didn't waste no time. It's like, listen, we got blood and guts in a pay per view. We got to balance this out as best as we can. So, of course, this was a trios match, but this became a championship match for the AEW trios titles at the beginning of the show. So, this is our AEW World Champion, Hangman Adam Page, teaming up with Hook and Eddie Kingston to take on the Ops. This was fine for what it was. Yeah. I mean, it's just to continue to have Joe and Hangman feud. And then, Hangman's got his work cut out for him tomorrow because him and Hobbs are about to murderize each other, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah.
I had to go back and watch. I was just like, this is the first time I have seen Hobbs like tap someone out in the torture rack. I was just like, hold up, and then I had to go back. I was just like, I remember him using torture rack as his finisher, and if it
Really?
was, I was just like, I don't remember that.
Well, this match was so much fun. Like, I really like the idea that, like, they were telling the story of, Hangman, and they also did a service to lead into the match tomorrow night. Overall, some good business. Nothing really to write home about except for that. Like this was sort of just like I have this word for like sometimes like if there's like an episode of Breaking Bad doesn't really do anything, but it moves the plot forward.
Right.
Yeah, that was this.
I was like, "Alrighty." So, I agree with you. This was nothing really to write home about, but, you know, it would it would make something for Hangman to do while still feuding with Joe and the rest of the ops. Like I said, him and Hobbs have that crazy match happening tomorrow at Blood and Guts, which we'll talk about when we get to the end of the show. The ops still retain their championship, and yeah, that was Dynamite. And now let us get into the collision of things because collision was just like, listen, we just got wrestling, just straight graps, and I was like, I'm not going to complain. So collision again was also very straightforward because we kick off the show with this match, and I was just like, okay then. So of
Mm.
course we got the Bang Bang Gang taking on FTR, which I was just like random pairing, but I'm here for this. I love these four so much, and again I was just like, damn, they bullied Juice to grow that beard back. The internet's like, no. And I was like, don't tell Mr. Tony Storm what to do with his facial hair. What's wrong with you?
I
I
know,
will say
right?
that. I was like, Juice, I love you either way with or without the beard. I'm just putting it out there. But anywho, this was a fun match. I had a good time with this one. And like I said, FTR being the consummate heels, they could have had the match won, but they let the distraction of jet speed allow the Bang Bang Gang to pick up the victory. I was just like, FTR got beef with everybody, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, I'm totally here for it too because to be honest with you, like as I said last week, the tag division is a little thin on the heel side, so it makes sense that FTR is just making enemies of everybody, and which I think is gonna help them in a few weeks. But this match was really fun. Like we got a little bit of New Japan, Juice Robinson here. And like, what? Come on, Ben. I was trying to think of Bandito and Gravity. Gravity is what was catching me up. And they jumped the barricade and helped distract FTR, and the Bang Bang Gang take advantage. This whole thing was super fun. I'm never gonna pass up a Bang Bang Gang FTR match. And then you add all the shenanigans. I was very sports entertained, if you will.
This was definitely a sports entertainment type of match, but there's nothing wrong with that. Again, the Bang Bang Gang pick up the victory because at the same time, it's just like FTR be beefing with everyone. So that's going to be a lot of fun as to see how that plays out because you could go with so many different directions with it. But fun match to definitely open up collision. We go on to backstage. Okada's like, I got your back, Kyle Fletcher. And Kyle Fletcher's like, thanks? Question mark. Like Kyle Fletcher's face, he's like, what are we doing? And I'm just sitting here. I was just like, this had to be a pre-taped because I'm trying to do the math. I was just like, how is Okada here? And he was in Japan. Too. I was just like, this had to be pre-taped. I was just like, there is no way. If that is the case, I was like, Okada got magical superhero powers because and an amazing jet.
Yeah, it definitely had to have been, like, taped Wednesday, or something, and the idea of Proto Okada is absolutely hilarious because Okada put over nobody on his way out of New Japan, and he's gonna come over here and, put over Kyle Fletcher. It's
How
such a petty thing.
It's amazing, and I'm just like, "This is fantastic." So, yeah, Okada's like, "I have your back," and Kyle's like, "Thanks," which, like, this was fun, and I was just like, "Okada's got his back," and Kyle Fletcher's like, "Thanks," and that leads us into our next match, which I was just like, "My god, give me more Ace Austin." I'm so glad that people are finally giving him his dues after I've been saying this forever.
This was probably the match of the night outside of Mox and Roddy. But, like, those were 2 completely different matches. Like, this was a very modern match as opposed to what Roddy and Mox put out, but Fletcher did some great heel work in this, and, like, that's always been my biggest catch up with him without Don Callis is that like he's playing to the crowd way too much to be a heel, and like him just like what they call taking a powder, like which is like when they just sort of to piss off the other their opponent. Which he did that a couple times in the beginning, and it really worked. That crowd was eating it up. They were like, "Boo." And the last thing I'll say is, I hope Kyle Fletcher is sending a check to Mexico to feed those children because the
I
finish was so El Generico.
swear. Oh my goodness. I cannot. Oh man.
It's like okay, suplex brainbuster on the top rope, but clearly ROH El Generico.
For reals. So Kyle Fletcher retains the TNT championship, but this was a fun match, and I agree with you. I think this was probably my favorite AEW match this past week. I had a fun time, and again, I was just like, the journey that we have followed Kyle Fletcher on the last like 2-3 years has been amazing, and I'm so happy to see him in this position. He's also another one that I put in the same category as Darby and Danny, where I was just like, this one's got next up as world champion in the next couple of years. Honestly, he proved that when he went toe to toe with Hangman at Toronto. Like honestly, oh man, this is so good, and I can't wait to see where Ace Austin goes continuing forward with AEW because he's great. I love him. Moving on though, Chris, I don't know what this was on your face, but I want one. So I was like, you have a fun story to tell there, AEW. So let's see what goes with all of that. But I'm ready for Chris and Mercedes at Full Gear and for them to be a part of Blood and Guts tomorrow. So cannot wait.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like, what was that? Like, it looks like a little headdress thing. Yeah,
I was
but
just like, I don't know what that is, but I want one.
yeah, right. Pretty
It's
neat.
so just so good. Alrighty. So let's talk about this because it was on fire because of everything that came out. Because originally it was gonna be TJ versus Nixon Newell and Miranda Elise. That I need promotions to be picking the correct name to go with this because I was just like, I don't know what we're doing, you guys. I was like, can we please?
Yeah,
And then,
exactly
of
right.
course, reports come out that those two left an hour before Bell started. So shout out to Hyann and Maya World for stepping up and stepping in. And I was just like, and you know what? Anybody who isn't aware, you can look up the story. Like I gave you the Spark Notes version. My favorite response to this whole thing, honestly, and that is why she will forever be one of my faves, is Miss Taya Valkyrie, who got on her platform and said, "It's just like she didn't disparage, Miranda and Nixon, but she said, you know what? As somebody who has been in every position from enhancement talent to squash match person to regular utilized or champion, I was like, whether it's 3 minutes, 3 seconds, or 3 hours, you make it count and you make sure that you make people remember who you are, even if you aren't given a lot of time." And I was just like, Taya, that is why you will always be one of my favorites. And so, which sucks because again, the last 72 hours we've been talking about, Miranda and Nixon, and I was just like, TJ wins. But I also want to, again, we should be talking about Hyann and Maya World because every time I see Maya and Hyann on my screen, I'm always happy. I was like, yay! I love them. As somebody who watches ROH and they're always popping up every single time they're there, I was just like, yes. Also, Maya being part of the Stardom shows here in the United States sometimes is also really fun to watch.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about it is that Hyann and Maya World, I'm always glad to see them because they're as big as Texas is, the more that they've grown. And Hyann's work in Deadlock Pro with Danny Luna has really been great. And Maya World is out of this world to the point where, like, I think that, well, I'm not going to say that. They are great. And let's just move on.
Okay, good enough. Like,
No, not like that. I just meant like, everybody's already has said their piece,
yeah,
so
everyone has said their thoughts and feelings. I just recapped it for us, but TJ beats Hyann and Maya World. They still have their tournament qualifier coming up really shortly too. So we shall move on with ourselves and with our lives because
absolutely. Thank God.
never in my wildest dreams I was just like, these last 72 hours have been wild. Anywho, Athena's backstage. She's not happy that she got pinned by Harley Cameron, and she is going to make Harley a puppet for MIT because, again, Harley is going to be facing Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. And whoever wins that match is going to move on to Final Battle to defend it. And I'm just sitting here and I was just like, We couldn't have that match at Final Battle. Like, do we have to have it now? Because I would rather see Harley and Athena at Final Battle than have them fight now and then figure out who Athena's gonna face at Final Battle. I love you, Tony, but like, what are we? 2026. I need ROH to like. We need to organize ROH better.
Yeah, I got the subscription again, like, last week, just so I could watch that Lee Moriarty match.
And because
He's doing
made it through the time limit, I was just like, God, let that be at the Final Battle match.
Yeah, right? That match was fantastic, and his match with Alexander last week was the week before was really good too, but I digress. Lexi's just doing her job like a regular broadcaster, and, like, Athena just stops and looks at her and goes like, "What do you mean you don't know each other?"
I was just like, what are we doing? Oh my goodness. So yeah, so Athena is looking to make Harley pay, and I was just like, all right, we will see that match happen. I believe in 2 weeks. They said I don't know anymore, but I love me some Athena. She's great, and I love Lexi too. They're both fantastic. Listen, I don't want to make this creepy, so please forgive me. I'm going to choose my words carefully, but because I have been watching AEW almost since its inception, I just again my introduction to AEW was the Britt and Thunder Rosa Lights Out match at St. Patty's Day Slam all those years ago. That was my first time watching AEW, and then I did a quick recap on it before and watched it ever since. I just wanna say, I am so proud of how far Sky has come. Like, her and Julia too. I was like, "I've been watching these babies forever." Oh my goodness. The Sky did fantastic. I mean, of course, Jamie Hayter is always amazing. I'm biased because I love me Miss Haterade over here. This was so much fun, and again, Sky continues to get better and better, and I was just like, Sky, I love you so much. I'm so happy for you. She has come such a far. I feel like a proud dad. I was like, I don't want to make it creepy, but I feel like a proud brother at least watching her all these years. This was fun. I have no notes, and I will fight anybody who does. Just kidding.
Yeah, that's fair, like, actually, speaking of Sky and, like, how much she improved. Like, the other day, I went and watched her match with Jade Cargill from, like, 2021,
Mhm.
and you could tell, like, some people just have it, and, like, Sky's always had it, you know? But, like, her you could tell that she loved this, and she just loved beating people up, you know, sports entertainment kinda way. And Jamie Hayter, like, these 2 could fight forever in my opinion, because like, you know, Jamie's hard hitting and Sky can take a beating. So this was fantastic. Wicked good. They have crazy chemistry.
Right? Yeah, I was just like, the chemistry is amazing. And again, this is a testament to how much Sky has grown since being a part of AEW, and I love it. Jamie does beat her, so now the women's advantage battle is at 1-for-1. I mean, everybody starts brawling afterwards because then we cut to commercial and when we come back, Betty, we just go straight into our third match. This crowd was so behind Harley, and I was just like, Harley is also another one too, because at first I didn't vibe with her, especially when she was part of QTV. When we got with QT and Johnny and all of them, I was just like, that was a faction that I was like, no, get this off
Mm.
my screen. I don't want this. And then when I will at first, I was just like, "You know what? I wanna give Harley a chance." She started wrestling, she was having some matches in ROH for a little bit. I got to see her when she came to Palm Springs when there was a Collision taping out here, like, 2, 3 years ago, so that was a lot of fun. And to see how far she's come and how much I love her, I'm not gonna lie, Minnie Monet is what kinda brought me to Harley's side. But again, Harley's also another one with the homegrown AEW talent, and I was just like, I love Harley so much. But as soon as I saw this match, I was just like, Harley, I love you. But rest in peace, because Tekla's gonna beat your ass. She gonna beat you, girl. But they also had some really fun chemistry, and they had some fun spots here too. I was just like, Tekla is just fantastic. Tekla is great, and to see she hasn't been here like even 6 months, and just the way that she's being booked and being utilized has been so much fun. She's just so good. This was fun. I had a blast with this.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% with the fact that Tekla has really, she feels like she's been here the whole time. Like, and hopefully her boyfriend will come with her eventually. Well, but I digress. Harley, I completely agree with everything you said, so I'm not gonna rehash it. This is a fun match. They did what they could. Tekla did what she could with Harley, and
This definitely was. Oh my goodness. So Tekla ends up beating Harley, so the heels will have the advantage tomorrow night in Blood and Guts. But Harley, I'm telling you, and I really hope that Tony Khan actually watches this podcast because if you want to create a viral moment, however and whoever you want to make it happen, Tony, let Harley get the final pin to win the match for her team. If Harley Cameron wins Blood and Guts for her team, that will push that girl over to the next level with fans. Because can you imagine if Harley gets the win for her team in Blood and Guts? I was just like, please, yes, I can't wait.
yeah, by the way, if Clark Connors does come over, we just
He's
slot him
another
right into the
one.
Big Bang Gang.
It's like I was like, okay, we're finally getting some direction because these two are both scheduled to be on Tailgate Brawl and they're both over it. And I was just like, I'm glad that they are utilizing our critiques to feel the same way. Because Max and Anthony are over it. And I was just like, we are too. I'm glad that you guys feel the same way. So I'm with Anthony. He's like, cancel this match. And I was like, me too. Either do something, Tony Khan, or let's move on with our lives. She's just doing her job. And she's like, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reporting it.
Yeah, we'll talk afterwards about this, but, yeah, this was super fun, this was a direct shot across the bow, but, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens do deserve better than this, and I like Lexi Nair is absolutely fantastic. She's super talented, and, she has comedic timing, which you can't ask for. You can't teach, I mean.
For real. I love this a lot. This was a lot of fun. Oh my goodness. So they're over it. And it's just like, we shall see at Tailgate Brawl what this entails. But we got to go. Main event time. John Moxley, Roddy. So we are 1-1. This will decide which team gets the advantage on the men's side. I love Moxley. I really, really do. And I say this all the time. I love Roderick. Marine Shafir, you're lucky, woman. You're lucky. Anywho. But besides, be like, ooh, hey, Roddy, call me. I love Roddy as a wrestler. And again, I try not to use the word underrated, but I was just like, he is so damn good. He's so flipping good. And this was definitely one of those matches I was just like, he's just such a good technical wrestler. And he can also hit hard and match Moxley's energy is this was my second favorite match of the whole entire AEW week, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, usually whenever Roderick Strong is in a match, it's usually one of the best matches of the week. I posted something on Blue Sky the other day that he has the same gas tank as he did and this guy just doesn't slow down, and he's had neck surgery, neck fusion surgery. That's insane. I really like this match a lot because this match was completely different than anything else on the card. Yeah, pretty much anything this week. This was a very shutting them down and shutting them down until Roddy got a little bit of shine, and then with Darby getting involved, that was my only problem with the finish. But it's they were setting it up, with the past few weeks, he couldn't beat Kyle, and then he loses in a count out because of Darby.
Right.
The story makes sense, but, it just seems to fall a little flat. That's all.
It is. And so I'm very interested to see now because again, and we'll talk about this right now because this was the last match that happened. Roddy does win with Darby keeping Mox from entering the ring to not beat the 10 count. Everybody brawls. Darby's got a taser, which I was just like, ooh, that thing is snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. That thing was sounding off. So Moxley's just like, damn, we got our work cut out for us. And that is how Collision goes off the air for the week. Before we get into the usual end bits, tomorrow night is a special 2.5 hours of Dynamite. It is Blood and Guts. And so far, we got 3 matches confirmed. Of course, first and foremost, we have this Falls Count Anywhere match between Hangman Page and Hobbs. And I'm just like, yes. I was just like, it's not a Texas death match. It's not, it's not a Texas death match. But I was just like, Hangman, Swerve has passed on the sicko to Hangman, and I was just like, just tell us what you're gonna do to continue to do crazy stuff before your match against Joe Hangman.
Mm.
Just go ahead and like, I'm like, I look at Hobbs, I look at Hangman, I look at Hobbs again. I continue to stare at Hobbs, and then I look at Hangman. I was just like, "Hey, man, you gonna do great. Hobbs is gonna beat you a little bit though." So it's like I was like, "Oh, so excited." I am happy to see Hobbs though on a one-on-one match because I have missed Hobbs as a singles competitor. Not gonna lie. So this one-on-one should be a lot of fun. So I don't know what kind of crazy shenanigans they're going to do, but it should be fun. Then, of course, we have our two blood and guts matches. First off, of course, the men's one, Conglomeration and Darby versus the Death Riders. I've noticed that we've been keeping Pac from being in the ring because they're like, we are not going to have a repeat of last time he was supposed to be in Blood and Guts where he didn't get to compete. So I'm very fascinated to see where we go because this is a week before Full Gear. We don't have Moxley and Darbs do not have a match yet for Full Gear set. So I'm trying to figure out, I was like, okay, if we're going to get a match at Full Gear, my money is actually on the Death Riders winning this match to set up Mox and Darbs for Full Gear. I'm just like, I love the conglomeration. And if and Darby, I really, really do. But I feel that from a booking and narrative perspective, I feel like you have more feuds to go from if Death Riders win, because then Darby can continue to Darby and Mox still got one more to go. I need a Texas death match. I need something crazy. Like, we need something crazy. And I mean, we're talking about blood and guts, but I was like, you know what we want. Give us Texas death match between Darby and John.
You
So
know,
yeah.
they were making a big deal about how this is Claudio's third blood and guts match. This is also Willie Yuta's third blood and guts match. And if Willie Yuta, like with the way that the fans love to hate on Willie Yuta, he gets the crap kicked out of him in these matches. So everybody should enjoy that.
If it's not him and Sammy Guevara, they always get beat up every time they're in this match because Sammy got thrown off the cage from Eddie Kingston last time. Oh,
Oh
lordy.
yeah. Oh man.
It's like it's Sammy or Yuta, one of the two. So yeah, my money is on the Death Riders for this one. I'm not gonna lie, but it could go either way, and you know what? They could surprise me. Tony Khan, if you do not let this be the main event of the show, we're gonna have problems. I was like, this is the first ever women's blood and guts, and this is the largest one too, because the men's is just 5-on-5. This is 6-on-6. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
the first ever women's blood and guts, so that is why it should main event the show. I'm just
Exactly.
saying. The men can kick things off, then the women can close it.
Yeah, indeed. And like I also like the idea that like, there's like two steel cage matches and then a falls count anywhere match. Like
That's all you really need for a 2.5-hour Dynamite, honestly. Sprinkle in some backstage and promos, and then we're good to go.
usually takes about an hour.
Yeah, so I
Good
was
one.
like, you know that these 2 matches alone are like 2 hours, and then you give us like 25 minutes for Hangman and Hobbs, and then sprinkle in some backstage segments and some pre-tapes, and then call it a night. But I'm really hoping this main events the show, Tony. Please let the women main event because not to say that the men's are bad or anything, but this beef has been going on forever since the summer. So let the main event to get this out of the way. We talked about how I feel about certain women being here, but honestly, I want this to main event, and I think all 12 women are going to be great because I like everyone involved. Of course, you have the heels with the Triangle of Madness, Megan, Marina, and Mercedes. Low key, the most excited for I'm happy that Marina is in this match. I was just like, she could pin Sky or Julia or even Tekla, get her lick back. But oh my gosh, let Harley pick up the victory for her team. I'm excited. Look, however you feel about cage matches, I know there's like another one with WWE with Survivor Series, the War Games match coming up in a couple weeks. And I'm still excited for that one because I will be there live. But this blood
Wait,
and
what?
guts, oh, I feel did I not say
No.
that? Yeah, so because Survivor Series is gonna be in San Diego, that's about 2 hours away from me from where I live in near the Palm Springs area. I will be at Survivor Series live.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, we got the team set up kind of mostly, and we're waiting on a couple other people, but I'm just excited because I'm going and then I will be taking Laguilla with me. This will be her first WWE event. Which is crazy because it's one of the big four WWE pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was just like, she gets to witness 2 War Games matches and whatever other matches that we're getting for Survivor Series is gonna be fun. But I am excited for tomorrow night for Blood and Guts. I'm stoked. I can't wait to watch that. It's like the season for I am thankful it is the season heading into Thanksgiving. I am thankful that Tony Khan has blessed us with blood and guts and gore and violence.
Yes, they used to call it the match beyond. Let's do this. You know, man, it's like honestly my favorite stipulation. Like you can't go wrong with a double ring cage match. Like just can't.
And that's why I love wrestling because we all have our favorites, even if they're hokey. Like Blood and Guts is crazy. I love the gimmick of War Games slash Blood and Guts, 2 rings, a big old steel cage, crazy weapons, anything goes.
Mm.
I'm excited for that. But of course, I love me a good like bloody stipulation. That's why, like in TNA, as cheesy as it is with the premise, I am a big fan of a Monsters Ball match in
Yeah.
TNA. I love a last man standing. I love a Texas death match. Again, I was there in person when I watched Hangman and Swerve like defy all laws of HIPAA and like how far they're willing to go because I was at Full Gear when it was in Los Angeles. And I
Oh
was just
damn.
like, that was a crazy night because not only did we see Julia get the TBS championship from Chris and Sky in that triple threat, but we also I got to see the Texas death match between Swerve and Hangman. I was just like, oh Lord, staple in
That's something
children's
you'll never
artwork,
forget.
blood. It was crazy. But
I've been
go ahead.
lucky enough to see a War Games match and Blood and Guts in the same building.
Amazing. That's what I was saying. 2025 has been very good to us West Coasters because all the companies have done amazing to bring a lot of stuff out to the Los Angeles area. Because this year alone, I've gotten to go to a TNA pay per view. I've gotten to go to a New Japan show here when they had a Resurgence, where again, she was with me when we went to the Dynamite and the Collision 100 and Dynamite 300. I got to see Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide, and then, Survivor Series. West Coast has been very blessed this year. I'm pretty sure we're not going to get anything next year. So all the other regions, but I've been complaining as a wrestling fan. It's like they rarely come out especially TNA. We rarely get any West Coast shows out here. And this year I have been blessed. And then not only that, the following week after Survivor Series, I will be back in Los Angeles for my second GCW event.
Hell yeah.
So good. But that's going to be it for us here at All Elite Ensemble. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got a regular week for the remainder of this week. Tomorrow night, of course, is our double header, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, is our NXT show where we are reviewing tonight's episode that is currently airing for NXT as we are preparing for the 2-week Gold Rush event where AAA, Evolve, NXT, and TNA will have championships on the line. So it is going to be championship matches for the next 2 weeks. And then later that evening, 8 p.m. Pacific, is, of course, CMLL, where we will review this past episode of Viernes Espectacular, where we got a lot of fun matches. We got championship matches made for this Friday. We got the debut of Austin Aries in Mexico, which was very interesting to see. But on top of that, our Novio Soberano Jr. has made his return from injury. So you can tune in for all of that and for us to lose our minds as we talk about how hot he is. Oh my goodness. But then, of course, on Friday, after 4 weeks for the TNA to review, it's been crazy after Bound for Glory not having any content. And then
Yes.
so we're going to be reviewing that episode on Friday, but we will also be making predictions because we're coming back from a 4-week hiatus of no shows, but we get the TNA show this Thursday to review on Friday, and then we make predictions because then we immediately jump back into a paper. I was just like, wow, we're already back in pay-per-view season for TNA, which is crazy. So stay tuned Friday, and then we wrap up the week with WWE on Sunday, where even though I still hate that we're like literally waiting until we get to school to finish our homework, at least WWE, I'm going to hold out the verdict for SmackDown, but Raw at least stepped it up. And I was like, okay, we officially got women's war games announced. We got men's war game teams coming up. Stephanie Vaquer finally has a challenger. So we're going to wait to see how SmackDown turns out with all of that too, before I start singing the praises of the Fed. But Thank you so much for tuning in tonight for AEW. And as always, from all of us here at BC Wrestle Pod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you tomorrow for our doubleheader review of NXT and CMLL. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.